Humans of the Cardboard. It is a glorious, glorious day for me and for Yu-Gi-Oh fans. By the way, shout out to me. I've been calling for some stuff here. So we got the live stream in the OCG. I think this is it for reveals as far as those, as far as it pertains to me and making sure you know about new cards that have been revealed. We've got 2 new Solfachord cards here. We've got a new generic spirit monster, which is interesting. Tellarknight / Constellar support. That is so huge, guys. I've been calling. You guys know, if you've watched any of my decks that deserve support the most videos, Tellarknights have been #1 for 2 years. 2 years we get it. Let's go. And there's 4 cards here. I'm very excited. I haven't read any of those. A new Neos Fusion is the last secret utility box new card. And then there's also some promo pack 2023 stuff as well that is completely new cards. So we got a lot to get through. So let's zoom through these. Starting off with Grand Solfachord Coolia. It's a light fairy link effect monster. 2700 attack, link 3. It points down left, down, and down right. So 3 down arrows. Very nice for pendulums. It takes any 2 monsters, by the way, including a pendulum. So this is a completely generic, pendulum, kind of pendulum support card. Not completely, but obviously just needs any 1 pendulum monster, which is great. First effect, gains 100 attack for each face-up pendulum monster in your extra deck. That's pretty good. This is a link that's already 27, and once you're done doing your combo, you could easily have 5 pendulum monsters in there. This thing is clearing 3,000 pretty easily. Nice. Second effect, activated effects of pendulum monsters this card points to cannot be negated. Nice little bonus protection effect there. That's cool. And the third effect, once per turn when your opponent activates a card or effect, any card or effect, special summon a Solfachord card with an odd pendulum scale from your pendulum zone to your zone this card points to, and if you do, negate the activation. Then you can add 1 Solfachord pendulum monster with an even scale from your deck or extra deck, or 2 from your deck to your extra deck face up. Really cool. This definitely could be one of those cards where you're like, dang, just to negate, super easy to make, just needs any 1 pendulum monster. And then pretty much to make it worth, you just have to make sure you can put a odd scale Solfachord monster into the scale, to pretty much set up a completely powerful Omni-Negate on this card. That's pretty good. Obviously, this is going to be good in a more centralized Solfachord deck, but I also think that there is some potential to just have this card be live just by playing a Solfachord package in a more pendulum amalgamation deck. But we'll see. I don't know as much about that. I haven't tested much with the Solfachords at all, but seems like a pretty good card to me. Next up, we have Solfachord Symphonia, a quick play spell. You can only activate 1 card with its name per turn. Apply these effects in sequence based on the number of Solfachord pendulum monsters with different names in your extra deck. If you have 3 or more, all Solfachord pendulum monsters you currently control gain attack equal to their own pendulum scale times 300. Oh my god, times 300. That's crazy. Some of them are just scale 8. They're scale 8. They just gained 2,400. That's a big stat boost, but you already need 3 to activate that effect. So interesting. If it's 5 or more, you can destroy 1 card your opponent controls. Then, if you have a card with an odd pendulum scale in the pendulum zone, draw 1 card. So if you get to 5, this card's already a non-targeting Trident that also draws a card and is buffing all your stuff by a crazy amount. That's a crazy buff. And the 7. If there's 7 or more different names, you can special summon 1 Grand Solfachord monster from your extra deck, just like your new Link 3. Probably be the main card you'd be aiming for there. It's one of those cards where it's definitely it's powerful. It probably doesn't work in a deck where you splash in Solfachords. It'd probably have to be a pure Solfachord deck or something close to it. And the question is going to be, how easy is it really to get 5 or more? Because that's really the cutoff where this card starts to become really, really good. But of course, it is okay. It's not great before then. So it's okay before then. But definitely an interesting card. High power. I really like the Link monster. And then we'll see about Symphonia. All right, moving on from there, we move to a new holographic rare, a generic card. This card is Sword Emperor Sumu Hakutsunagi. Very cool design here. I love his design a lot. He is a level 11 Wind Warrior Spirit effect monster, 3k, 3k, level 11. Cannot be special summoned. You can tribute summon this card by tributing one normal summoned or set monster. And I want to distinguish this because sometimes these effects kind of confuse me. I do not believe this is worded in a way where it means, like, this text right here, you can tribute summon this card by tributing a normal summoned or set monster. I don't think that's like an effect to get essentially an extra normal summon for him. It just means if you have a normal summon, or if you have a normal summoned, or you've activated an effect that does give you an additional normal summon, then you would be able to, like, kind of, you know, skimp out on having to tribute that second body. That's mostly it. So you're probably not tribute summoning this guy most turn ones, I would guess. But just to distinguish that. If this card is normal summoned or flipped face up, activate this effect. Your opponent can send any number of cards they control to the graveyard, and if they do, each player draws an equal number of cards. During the end phase of this turn, shuffle all cards that are banished on the field and in the graveyards into the deck. Very, very weird effect. Very powerful effect overall. What I don't love is that this, like, obviously, this just says your opponent chooses. I don't love effects that ever give your opponent a choice, unless it's really not a choice, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I mean, I like that they're going to pretty much break even by sending cards to the graveyard, drawing the same amount. You're just straight up drawing. You don't have to send anything. You're just going to draw those cards, so you go plus if they choose to go through with it. I think the cool thing is, whether your opponent chooses to take the effect or not, I still think you technically activated it. And so during the end phase of this turn, you are still shuffling all banished, and you're still shuffling every card banished on field and in graveyards into the deck. So there's still value there. But of course it's slow. He has to be, you know, he's got to not be negated, all that stuff. And a second effect, once per turn during the end phase, if this card was normal summoned or flip face up this turn, return this card to the hand. It's a cool effect. It's interesting. I think it's going to end up being slow. I think it's going to end up being, you know, pretty easy to respond to. I mean, really, any negate, you're probably going to get fired on this because, you know, shuffling everything into the deck is pretty brutal. But, you know, it's an interesting card. It's a fun card. It's a cool card for spirits. I just don't know if it's power crept enough, because the whole thing with spirits is like, they're slow. They take your normal. Stuff like that. And this guy needs a tribute. Needs 2 tributes or a already normal summoned monster. So probably doesn't work out for me, but interesting card. And I move to the big reveal, as far as I'm concerned, that I really, really care about. Let's get into this. Starting off here, Tellarknight, Lyra. This is a level 4 Light Warrior. Of course, 12, 16 for the stats. Whatever, it's a level 4. This card is always treated as a Constellar card as well. I'll be honest, I don't know as much about Constellars as I know about Tellarknights. I know Tellarknights pretty damn well, but we'll see. You can only use the first or second effects of this card each once per turn. If a Tellarknight and or Constellar monster other than Lyra is normal summoned to your field, you can special summon this card from your hand. So we do get a hand extender here. This is pretty sweet. I like this a lot. I don't know why they made it so that it can't trigger to another Lyra being normal summoned, because I don't think that would be too egregious. It just makes this card a little more bricky if you just draw like 2 copies of this and nothing else. But it is what it is. And then secondly, if this card is summoned, you can add 1 Tellarknight spell from your deck to your hand. This is so close to being like very, very close to like a card I would absolutely love. Oh man. I still don't think it's bad, though. It's just one of... It's more like a situation where I talked about in videos where if we got a new Tellarknight that searched any Teller speller trap, then we would be in such a good position. Now we do have, I believe, a new Tellarknight spell here as well, but as far as what we already have, you don't care about the field spell. Skybridge is huge. This card searching Skybridge is so good because you would have already summoned this after you've already put a body on field, so then you're able to go for something like Altair, and then Altair gets something back from grave, or from there. So it is just a straight up +1 and an extender in the same regard. I've talked about this. This is basic power creep in Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now. Is cards aren't just extenders; they're extenders and searchers now. So they're not only helping you continue to play the game, but then also plussing you at the same time. I don't think Tellarknight Alpha, and then Genesis would be the other one that's interesting. It's like a quick play that destroys spells and traps on the field equal to the number of Tellarknights cards you control. Could be a cool one-off tech, like if it comes up. But we'll have to see what the other new card is. The one thing it doesn't search is Tellarnova Alpha, or Stellanova Alpha, the counter trap. And that's something I've talked about for years, is it feels like your engine doesn't get you to interruption. But to be honest, if we get fast enough cards, we're going to be able to get to like Constellar Diamond and stuff, so it's not the end of the world here, but very cool. That's a great card. Moving on here, another level 4 monster. This is Tellarknight Altea, level 4 Light Warrior, 17. Okay, 17, 13, it's a little bit bigger. This card, they're also treated as a Constellar. Very nice for them. Again, I'm going to talk more on the Tellarknight side. Feel free to let me know in the comment sections your thoughts if you're a bigger Constellar fan. I'd love to hear, because I know they got that pretty good level 4 monster a couple of years ago, so maybe these work in together with that. Okay, 2 hard ones for turn effects. If this card is summoned, you can target cards on the field up to the number of light and dark Exceed monsters you control. Destroy them. Whoa. Okay. Wow. That's just if this card is summoned. And then secondly, if a Tellarknight or Constellar monster other than Altea is special summoned to your field, you can special summon this card from your graveyard. Also, you cannot declare attacks for the rest of the turn except with Exceed monsters. Dang. So even, wow. And it doesn't like banish itself for anything. So this card just keep getting it to grave, and anytime you summon, special summon a Tellarknight, boom. This card's getting you reviving itself, then triggering its first effect to like pop a card or cards if you control Exceed monsters. That's really cool. I like the possibility of this also being interruption, with the card above being able to search Skybridge. If you can just end on an Exceed and another Tellarknight monster, you open up the possibility to be able to get this card out on the opponent's turn and pop a card. And by the way, this is... no, it does target, but still, I'll take it because it's just on summon. My only concern with this is if this just said on summon, pop a card, like, we'd be crazy. It's still decent, but like, you have to get to an Exceed first. So that's the one thing where I'm like, okay, fine. All right, then we move to the new Exceed monster. Of course, they have to have a new Exceed. This is Tellarknight Constellar Caduceus, a rank 4 spellcaster. 25, 16, 50, beefy as always. All these rank 4s are freaking beefy, man. He is completely generic, so we gotta love that. You can only use the first and second effects of this card once per turn. If this card is Exceed summoned, target a Tellarknight card and/or Constellar card in your graveyard. Add them to your hand. Interesting. Yeah, I mean that's cool. I'll take it. I mean, it's in grave, so it's kind of like a more of a recursion card, but okay. Like, if this said search Tellarnova Alpha, I'd be, oh my gosh. But that's okay. Okay, you can banish one Tellarknight or Constellar monster from your hand or deck, then detach one material from this card, and this effect becomes that banished monster's activated effect when that monster is normal summoned. Interesting. That's really cool. Okay. You know what? I like this card actually more than I thought. Sometimes something like Trevere is not worth it because the bounce the whole field effect isn't worth it. Your opponent doesn't have enough stuff on board, and then he's kind of passive from there. He needs to be cleared from the field to kind of trigger. Whereas this guy he gets you a +1, maybe even a +2 on summon if, you also have a Constellar card in grave, but at least a +1 to get a Tellarknight monster or spell back from grave. And then the second effect to then also pretty much just get another one going is pretty crazy. Just get another effect, like Altair Reborn another one, or, whatever it is pretty sweet. The only thing that would have made that even more crazy if that was like a quick effect, so that way this card became like a really powerful card that would help us just summon out Altea on the opponent's turn to get that pop effect. But still solid nonetheless. I think this is a good card that's probably just a +2 most times you're summoning it. So if you're going for value, this card actually, just a resource game, trying to get yourself resources, this could be more powerful than Trevera at certain times. So that's a nice addition, and it's completely generic too. So keep that in mind. Also keep in mind we have Ptolemaeus now, which we haven't had for forever. And then the last card here is Tellarknight Constellar, of course, another Constellar. Oh, so there you go. So there's another card that has Constellar in the name. So I guess this new spell would fit that mold. Okay, you're going to activate one card with this card's name per turn, and the second effect also once per turn. When this card resolves, you can special summon a Tellarknight or Constellar monster from your hand or graveyard. Wow, we just have Monster Reborn for Tellarknights. That's really, really good. Oh, man. That's so good. Wow. That's awesome. So yeah, the only downside to this is it's a continuous spell where it's on resolution at Reborn, so it's not every turn. So in the grind, this is probably a grindy deck, so but not being able to do it every turn, not the end of the world, but just something to note. Second effect, you can target a Tellarknight or Constellar Exceed you control. Special summon from your extra deck one Tellar or Constellar Exceed with a Tellarknight or Constellar XYZ monster with a different rank from that monster you control by using it as material. This is treated as an Exceed summon. Transfer its materials to the summoned monster. That's pretty good. There's stuff like Pleiades. There's obviously Constellar Diamond. I believe. What is the other one? M7. I can't remember its full name. M7. It's just like a bounce. But he can even add monsters from your grave back to your hand. All good options, I think, of as far as the higher rank monsters. That's really cool. Yeah, I think this is great. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's cool. That's the effect that actually gives you more value as the duel goes on, because you're going to try to make those rank 4s every turn. I like it. I think the only thing here is I'm not 100% confirmed on how much I think we've actually gone and made the deck able to make Interruption turn 1. But obviously it needs tinkering with. I've seen this just now, so I haven't run through every possibility in my mind, but I like what I'm seeing. This deck, even more so than before, get to the grind game, you probably win the duel. So very exciting to see where we can go with this deck. By the way, these cards probably just completely power creep what's her face, the one that ascends, Unokalai. I mean, I guess you can send Altea, but she needs a monster to be special summoned. So if you just go normal summon Unokalai and don't have a way to also get summon again, you're kind of just like, what do we really do here? So I think these cards kind of power creep Unokalai a little bit. I think we can go back to maybe one Vega at most, but Lyra extend herself from the hand. So I don't know. Very, very cool. I'm so excited for this. Oh my gosh, guys, I cannot explain how hyped this is. All right, let's get to the final stuff here. Sorry this video is so long, but we're going through a ton of cards. New Neos Fusion. It is Armed Neos, a level 10 Wind Warrior Fusion, 35 3k for the stats, absolutely ginormous. It takes a Neos plus an Armed Dragon, and he must be Fusion summoned. So I had somebody in my comments one time say this, but they were like, if we got a Neos Fusion that took a dragon generically, it'd be crazy. Now it does need an Armed Dragon specifically, so it's like the Chaz combination, but I wonder if that's good enough. He must be fusion summoned. If this card is special summoned, choose one dragon in your graveyard and destroy all face-up monsters your opponent controls with an equal or lower level. So kind of incentivizes you to play a really big armed dragon level so that you'll be able to pop a lot of stuff, but kind of depends. Also, Exceeds and Lynx will bypass this effect because they do not have a level. Keep that in mind. When this card destroys a monster by battle, you can make it gain this effect. And I guess this is just permanent. During the main phase, you can tribute summon this card, a special summon, quick effect. Tribute this card, special summon one elemental hero fusion monster from your extra deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. That's pretty cool. Just tags that into any elemental hero. I don't know every single one off the top of my head, or like the best ones, but that's pretty cool, especially, I don't know, potentially if any of them has a pretty good effect on summon, to just like maybe have an interruption and removal to tag into those. It's pretty cool, but of course you do have to destroy a monster by battle, so you kind of need to make some things happen first. Interesting card. I don't know if it like super moves the needle, but it's a pretty anime-esque card, I would say, and it also forces you to play like a high-level armed dragon to really be its full potential. So we'll see. And the final cards here are a bunch of promos for the promotion pack 2023. First off, we have Xtox Hydra, Water Reptile Fusion, 2K, takes any 2 monsters you control, special summoned from the extra deck. So they have to be on your field, I believe, and from the extra deck. But in a deck that floats, that's not the worst thing in the world. But it also can't be a super poly target because it says you control, not just any 2 monsters from the extra deck. Obviously, this would be like the most broken super poly target if it was. Monsters your opponent controls of the same type, Fusion, Synchro, Exceed, Pendulum, Link, as any of the materials used for this card summon, lose attack equal to their own original attack. That's pretty powerful. That makes them mostly 0. And then when this card inflicts 1,000 or more battle damage to your opponent, you can draw 1 card for every 1,000 they took. So especially if you make them 0 and then this card just attacks for 2k, you're drawing 2 cards. That's pretty good, but it obviously requires the battle phase, requires everything to kind of go right for you. But funny card. Also, no restrictions on this card, so you also have the potential to instant fusion this out. So that's interesting. Next up, we have Tri-Edge Master. He's a light warrior synchro, 2118 for the stats. He's level 6. It's a pretty good level for synchros. Completely generic, 1 tuner plus 1 or more non-tuners. You can only use the effect of this card once per turn. If it's synchro summoned, you can apply one of these effects based on the levels of the materials used for its summon. Or if you used 3 or more monsters to make this card, you can just apply all 3 in sequence. So that's pretty cool if you made this with 3 monsters. But if you make it with a level 1 and a level 5, destroy 1 card on the field, non-targeting destruction on summon. So something like, I believe, what's her name? TG Wonder Magician is a level 5 synchro that can quick synchro on the opponent's turn. So if you use her and a 1 into this, you would just pop a card non-targeting. You guys have interruption. It's pretty cool. If you use a 2 and a 4, you just draw 1 card. So cool. Just becomes another card akin to what's it called? Stardust Charge or Coral Dragon, level 6s that just kind of draw you a card. That's cool. And then if it's a 3 and a 3, this card becomes treated as a tuner. So yeah, I mean, I think if you're able to make this with 3 materials, pretty good. Pop a card, draw a card, and it becomes a tuner to help you climb from there. That's a pretty good couple effects there. I like this card. This one actually could come up. I would not be overly surprised. Moving on, we have a a zombie Exceed Pendulum monster, Didalatent the Liquid Giant. He's a rank 3. He's a scale 3 rank 4, 2400 attack, 400 defense. Pretty big. His pendulum effect is you can only use the pendulum effect once per turn. While he's a scale, you can target an Exceed monster you control and attach this card to it as material. Fine. Its monster effects takes any 2 level 4 monsters, so it's generic that way. If you can pendulum summon at level 4, you can pendulum summon this face-up card in your extra deck. Okay. And the first and second effects hard once per turn. You can attach 1 material from this card to place it in your pendulum zone, then add 1 pendulum monster from your graveyard to your extra deck face up. Okay. And then if this card in the Pendulum Zone is destroyed by battle or card effect, or if this card in the Monster Zone is destroyed by battle or card effect, place this card in the Pendulum Zone. I don't know what to expect from this card. Maybe there's a Pendulum deck that can do some fun combos with this, but it doesn't seem like it's really doing that much for you, to be honest. Moving on to a field spell. This is called Tuner Hickey Tug of War. Field spell. When either player draws a tuner or tuners for their normal draw during their draw phase, reveal that card and that player draws 2 cards. If your opponent draws with this card's first effect, you lose 2,000 life points. And if you do, send this card to the graveyard. This card stinks. It's too slow, right? It waits for your draw phase. You're not getting this up until your main phase 1, so you have to wait for like an entire cycle pretty much. And if your opponent hits, I don't know, an Ash Blossom, a Gamma, just any of those tuner hand traps, if we're in that kind of format, they're drawing 2 and you're just going hella neg, so seems bad. And then Rainbow Lucian Lab, a continuous trap here. Once per turn, you can target one face-up monster on the field. It becomes a machine monster. Also, its attribute also is treated as light, dark, earth, water, fire, and wind. So it becomes like all of the main attributes in the game. That's super weird. I wonder how that even works with like Goes in Match. Do they have to even send that monster under Goes in Match? That'd be funny. I don't know. Interesting card. I mean, it's almost I guess that whatever it targets like becomes a machine permanently. So this card could actually come up as an interesting card to be able to mess with decks that need a specific attribute or machine or a type on the field. I actually kind of like that because a lot of decks need one or the other, and I know this kind of makes them all attributes, but maybe there's a deck that might need specifically one attribute and nothing else or something. I don't know, via restriction, and you could kind of hurt them with that. I don't know. It's an interesting card for sure. It's more interesting than like most of these, at least. But yeah, I think the Synchro, this one only really for instant fusion, and I guess the trap card have something going on. But all in all, to me, the biggest reveals here are Tellarknights. I cannot wait to get in the lab and actually see how good Tellarknights can be with the new cards. I think the Solfacords are cool. This new generic Spirit is okay. He's not blowing me away, but he's cool. And then the Neos is, anime. It's an anime card. It just is. But yeah, super hyped. Let me know your thoughts down below on the Tellarknight stuff here specifically. If there's anything else you think is important to any of the other cards, obviously let me know. I think Solfacords are interesting, so let me know about those. But I'm hyped. I'm super hyped, guys. Let me know your thoughts down below. I will catch you in the next video. Sorry this video went so long. Had a lot of stuff to get through today, but I am out of here for today. Thank you so much for watching as always. I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.